Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
We're going to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Samasco. Here. Commissioner Tomian. Here. Commissioner Heidemann. Here. Commissioner Riley.
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Present.
Commissioner Graytop. Present. Chairman Bone.
Here. Additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add to the agenda the structural steel contract award for the convention center as, let's make that 11U.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Approval of the agenda.
Before we do the agenda is, we're moving the 13 check item to information only. There was an email on that earlier. Is that staying where it was at?
Which item was that, Steve?
Since it took it off, there was a letter from Herbal on the 13th check.
I didn't see an email.
It's in the
That's
in the consent agenda.
Okay.
Moved into action.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
I'll renew my motion then for accepting the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes of previous meetings.
Moved to approve minutes of the previous meeting.
Board?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamations, none. Item 7, consent agenda, items A through I.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve items 7A through 7I on the consent agenda.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Reports of standing committees. Commissioner Samasco, I'm going to start with you down there.
No report.
Commissioner Tomian, just back from vacation from Europe. Nothing to report from Europe? All right.
I saw the
He's
Pope
safe.
yesterday.
He's at the poll.
I saw the Pope yesterday.
Oh, very
He
cool.
drove his little mobile about 4 people from me yesterday. I got a picture I'll show you.
Oh,
later.
very cool.
Yeah.
Howard,
No report.
Mr. Riley.
Nothing tonight.
No report.
Great top.
Very short, I just would like to commend our Undersheriff, Tom Buckley, for completing the 3-month academy at the FBI. Went through the entire process, took him 3 months to get through it. Most guys do it in a week. No, I'm just kidding. Took him a long time to get through there, but he did a very good job. He's got his yellow brick hanging on the wall, and we're very proud that we now have the sheriff, the undersheriff, and the captain all with graduate degrees from the FBI Academy.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I just read the article today. They actually had an article in the Voice newspaper that talked about it, and there's less than 1% of the people actually get accepted to that program. Very tough to get in, and he got through it and everything. That's very cool. Just a quick little thing. I know you're all heard of the announcement yesterday with East Sperry was building the city flats. I've got to give Scott Beeden a tremendous amount of kudos on that. He's been working for a long time to try to get a user in that building, and then Larry Jones, who was doing a lot of projects downtown. I went back through my notes. September 19th, I know myself, Commissioner Heidemann, Bill Kaufman, we met with the City Flat folks actually came to Port Huron and met with us, and there's a lot of discussion around the convention center. And whether you love the convention center, hate the convention center, I'm not here to debate that. But I will tell you that the reasons when we asked them why they were coming to Port Huron was because of that project. And it's increased, room nights, so on and so forth. Currently, we're run at about 62% occupancy with hotels in St. Clair County, and the state average is around 55%, so we're up over that. It's like anything, all these projects, and they actually broke ground, for those of you that haven't been by the Holiday Inn Express. They're driving pilings as we speak over on the old marina property over there too. And when I talk about the convention centers, it'll drive that many more room nights into the market, which increases occupancy. And when any of these hotel folks you talk to them, that's the first question: what is your actually occupancy rate? So there's going to be a big investment on that corner over there. And if you get a chance, go to their website and check out the hotels. They're pretty cool. I mean, the ones they've got in Holland and Grand Rapids are really unique places. So. Happy to see that investment.
There's also a piece on the Times Herald website that it's a promotional piece for their other two hotels. There's one in Holland and Grand Rapids.
Holland and Grand Rapids,
Yeah, there's a nice picture of the rooms
Yeah.
and their policies and everything.
Yeah. Very cool.
I think one of the things we need to continually emphasize is that when you have a guest come into your community and stay overnight, typically they drop about $350. So the more visitors we can get to the St. Clair County, that's more money coming into the county. And then the typical economic impact is it moves around the county from 5 to 7 times before it leaves. So that's a huge amount of money.
Okay. That's it. Citizens wishing to address the board. I have Kelly Shaw from 2667 Riverside Drive, Port Huron, Michigan, 48060. Kelly?
Hi, everybody. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. Well, thanks for welcoming me to your meeting. Many of your faces I know from experience that I've had in the community in the past. And I'll share with you tonight, I'm here on a different level other than a citizen. I'm representing my work. I work for Landmark Academy. And you may or may not have heard of our school before. We're a charter school. We are the only charter school right now in St. Clair County. And we have been in operation for 15 years. And that's a long time. And that might surprise some of you to say, wow, they've been around for 15 years? And the answer is yes, we have been. And we serve over 800 students. So that certainly tells you that we fit a need in our community for the students that we service. And at Landmark Academy on May 8th, and I have invitations for each one of you that I'm going to pass off, but on May 8th, we have our exhibition of talent. And during that week, the entire nation will be celebrating Charter School Week. And one of the ways that Landmark Academy is going to celebrate is we're going to recognize the unique giftedness of each one of our students. And we're very excited about that. We've encouraged our kids to all partake in a science fair project. Perhaps they have some badges that they've earned in outside activities that they do from school that they might like to showcase, and they might feel that's important to them, that's precious to their own heart. We want them to showcase that, and we want our community to come in and recognize those gifts that they've been given that they're so proud of. So I would like to invite you on May 8th to join us at Landmark Academy from 4:30 to 5:30. It's just a short walk through. It's an opportunity for you to see our school. We're not demanding too much of your time. We're not asking for your vote, and we're not asking for your money. We just want you to celebrate kids just like we do every single day that we go to work. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to pose them to me now, or I'm also going to give you a business card, and at any time, I'm happy to take your phone call, and our CEO or any of our principals would be willing to speak with you as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
We just happened, my daughters are 11 and 14, and we had our science fair project, and
Thank you.
it's pretty cool. Some really neat stuff. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 10, to unfinished business. There's none. Item 11A, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
Mr. Chairman, I can make my motion afterwards, but I've got John Darling here from DNR on the Harson's Island side. He works in conjunction with the biologist, Terry McFadden. Those two guys kind of run everything over on the island. He's going to give us a very short presentation on a project that they're undertaking in the county, some things that maybe a lot of guys don't know about. So, John, if you would jump up there and do that. And then when John's done, I'll make a motion that we support a letter in support of what these guys are doing, a grant that they are going after, looking for $1.4 million. Am I right, John? Is it 1.4 you said?
All right, good evening, Commission. Thanks for having us. Like Bill said, my name's John Darling. I'm the wildlife technician on Harson's Island. I work with the Wildlife Division of the Department of Natural Resources. You can kind of think of me as the area manager on the Harson's Island managed area, as well as St. Clair Flats in general, including St. John's Marsh. We also have just overtaken Port Huron State Game Area. That kind of came back to us, so that's kind of my circle of influence. As he said, Terry McFadden is the biologist for St. Clair and Macomb counties, so he's the one who's really been pushing these things. I'm kind of filling in for him tonight. Terry's a very, very good biologist, very motivated. He's been doing a lot with the U for us. So for anybody who doesn't know, St. Clair Flats is the largest freshwater delta in the United States. What that means is we're sitting on a piece of land that's really unique to the world, much less to our nation. People flock from all over the country to see the flats, to see the lake, to see Lake St. Clair River, and the flats is just a large part of that. Only about 1/3 of the flats is actually in U.S. land, 2/3 is on the Canadian side. So the little we have is actually much, much bigger than what you can see right here. There's a long history of hunting, trapping, etc. People have been coming here to hunt, trap, fish since First Nations were here. The big takeaway I want people to have tonight, the Commission and anybody else listening, is that it's state-owned land, but it's just DNR managed. So the DNR does not own that land. We're not holding it apart. That's state-owned land. We're just acting as the manager for the citizens. Harson's Island is a managed waterfowl area. What that means is we do a lot of very intensive management. We farm about 750 acres of crops there, in addition to having about 1,600 acres of impounded marshlands. We manage that very intensively, specifically for waterfowl habitat and waterfowl hunting opportunities. We're a very, very successful location. We have anywhere from 20 to 40,000 ducks on our refuge at one time. We harvest somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000, and we have 6,000 to 8,000 hunter trips a year on Harson's, which is important to keep in mind as we go on. That's a huge influx of people coming to St. Clair County specifically to waterfowl hunt, and that's just on Harson's. Many more people come to the lake, and many more people come to St. John's Marsh.
John, where are some of those guys coming from?
We have people from all over the state. Most of our users are kind of from the Macomb, St. Clair, downriver area. We do have folks from out of state every year. We've had folks from Kentucky most years. We have one guy comes from California every year. It's a very popular destination. It's nationally renowned. The Flats, Harson's Island, is a great place to hunt, but Lake St. Clair is one of the best diver duck locations in the country. A lot of people come here for opportunities you don't get other places. Like I said, it's a very popular destination. We're well known throughout the entire nation. What we're talking about tonight is St. John's Marsh. Most of you know that St. John's Marsh is located along M29, just west of Algonac. Currently, it's about 3,000 acres that the state holds there that we manage. Within that, we have about 400 acres that we have a similar level of control over as we do at Harson's Island, where we have the dikes and the pumping systems, and we have total water level control. We farm about 750 acres there with the same purpose. We flood it in the fall for food for migrating waterfowl. We hold anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000 ducks there currently. And you can see in the bottom corner, those were some of the first sandhill cranes came back to St. John's Marsh. Currently, it's very dependent on water levels. Lake levels have been down, so habitat quality there has been very low. We've had a lot of dry ground. We haven't had much marshland opportunities, and the big problem with that is it's a perfect opportunity for Phragmites to expand. Invasive Phragmites causes us a lot of trouble. We spend a lot of money trying to control that regionally and especially in the flats itself. St. John's has had a long history of human disturbance, as you may or may not be aware. What you're looking at right here is a golf course that was here in the 30s and 40s. There was actually a PGA tournament held on St. John's Marsh in the 40s. In addition to having a golf course there one time and dikes in the 40s, they had pump houses. You've got Anchor Bay Drive is over here, M29 is here. So St. John's Marsh has been drastically changed from the coastal wetland it once was. It's a very important wetland habitat, but it's nowhere near what it had been traditionally. As we move into this project, one of the big things we're working on was gaining partner support. We're blessed to have huge partner support in this part of the state. We've got some fantastic conservation groups that we work with. These are just a few of them. St. Clair Flats Waterfowlers has really pushed this project for a long time. They've wanted to see something done on that land. They've wanted to see it return to the high quality habitat, that it used to be 20, 30 years ago. In addition, we've worked hand in hand with Ducks Unlimited through this whole process. They do a lot of really great things for us. They are the ones who will eventually be administering all of these grants. They've provided the engineering. They provide a lot of expertise on these things. Michigan Duck Hunters and Clay Township are also key partners as we're moving forward. We'll talk about that a little bit later in some grant issues. So our objectives with St. John's Marsh are listed there. The big thing that we want to have taken away from this is that we want it to be a multi-use area. Our first priority is definitely habitat, especially as it pertains to waterfowl and water birds. But St. John's Marsh has the opportunity to be a great multi-use area. And most of you are probably aware it has a long history of fishing and kayak access, things like that. I can remember growing up and being able to take a 14-foot V-bottom with a 20-horse through St. John's Marsh, and you'd be hard-pressed to do that now. So one of the big things we're looking at here is expanding access for all people, including those fishermen, bird watchers, some of those user groups that we may not work with directly as Wildlife Division, but that are going to see a huge benefit from this happening. This next series of slides is going to show kind of where we're at right now. That's just our existing dike system. Like I was mentioning, we have about 400 acres in diking right now. Our current pumps are located right here and right here. We have 2 pumps on the area that allows us to control water levels. Our water supply comes in on Bobian Creek and along the old Detroit Urban Railroad bed right here. We have a ditch running along that. The problem is that in low water conditions, we can't run our pumps. So all of that 400 acres we've put a lot of money into that we're trying to create this habitat for birds as they're migrating through sits kind of unusable in low water conditions. These 2 pictures here, there's a 7-hour difference. So we went from having water in that pump to being completely dry and having to shut it off. This was 2 years ago. We accomplished very few of our goals on the area 2 years ago. Water levels were just non-existent across the whole region. Water levels were really poor, and St. John's Marsh especially really suffered. So our proposed project is to not only help our current situation, but also to have a large-scale restoration of about 350 acres on the area. The first goal we're going to have is to restore the remnant dikes. Remember that golf course picture right here and right here? We're going to rebuild those dikes that are still out there. They're in serious disrepair. We're also going to build a new dike along M29 and connect into our old dike here so we can create this nice impounded system. We're going to dredge along M29 all the way to Rosemarine and also along this top dike so that we can improve our water supply to this pump. That's what allows us to say that we're improving all these other acres in addition to just this section here that we're working on. One of the big things we were thinking about going into this is wanting to expand access on St. John's. So currently St. John's has a lot of problems with user access. We've got a great parking lot at the corner here, what we call the Cheers parking lot across from the old Cheers restaurant. But apart from that, the rest of our parking areas are really widely scattered, and it's really hard for people to get into some of these areas. So one of our key goals going into this was to create better access by putting in a parking lot and some boat ramp structures there. That proposed site is at the site of the existing monument right now, so you have kind of a picture moving forward. The other kind of last detail going into this is that we want to do a bunch of interior dredging along these new dikes. Ignore these little circles for a second, we'll get there. That interior dredging is what's going to allow us to move water within the unit and also allow hunter and fisher access in the area, and it's going to provide refuge for fish in low water conditions. If we ever had a situation where we had to draw down the marsh or if we had a hard freeze, it'd provide deep water areas for fish to hang out in. Our end goal is to create what we call hemi-marsh conditions, where it's roughly 50% cattail, 50% water. That's an ideal situation for just about all marsh species. We don't want this to be a lake. We don't want it to be a giant pond. We want it to be a healthy, sustainable marsh. So that's kind of where we're headed. Like it says, the new acres would be 343 acres in that first square. So that would be totally new wetlands that we would have under our, what we would say, intensive management, not just kind of sitting back and controlling Phragmites, but it would allow us to go in there, manipulate water levels, remove Phragmites more effectively, provide much better wetlands. In addition, the balance coming out to 638 total acres is what we've been able to present in our grant proposals as what the benefit here would be. So our timeline right now, Terry spent most of last year working with Ducks Unlimited to develop kind of a plan. They have put together kind of a rough estimate on an engineering scheme. We worked through all the costs and we started digging for matching funds for these grants. Right now we're in this grant cycle. So those 3 grants you see listed there are going to total about $1.4 million. The U.S. Coastal Restoration Grant is a grant that we're very confident we're going to get. It doesn't involve any match funds. It's just us saying to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we have this great project. It's coastal wetland. It's going to benefit a lot of species. We're very confident we're going to get that. That's $150,000. The Great Lakes Restoration Initiative Joint Ventures Grant totals $300,000. That grant we are not using partner funds towards. That is being matched by DNR funds. So through our new license package and the more bang for your buck priorities we have, one of the big priorities is expanding managed waterfowl areas and managed wetlands near population centers. So we're within an hour of Detroit. This is a perfect location for us. So the division has stepped up and put $75,000 towards that grant, kind of as our way of saying that we're gonna pursue this. We're gonna put our newfound money where our mouth is and provide this for these sportsmen. The big one is the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Sustain Our Great Lakes Grant. That grant's going to end up being the balance of that $1.4 million. So if we hit the GLRI joint ventures, then our Sustain Our Great Lakes Grant will only end up being about $700,000. If for some reason we do not get the GLRI grant, then we're going to be asking Sustain Our Great Lakes for about $1 million. So that's where we have come to you, is just for a letter of support for that grant. So we have a lot of partners involved in this. We'd really like for St. Clair County to say that, this is something we agree with. We think this will be good for our citizens, for our area, and for us economically, and to provide a letter of support. Every letter of support, every partner we have on this project earns those points in the grant funding scheme, and every time we get one of those, it's a huge step forward in trying to secure these monies. The other big problem is securing permits. That's something we work very closely with DEQ on as far as what we can do, what we can't do. They're a good partner in that. So that's where we're at right now. If we were to hit all of those grants and get all the funding we need, we would break ground next year. It'd probably be a 6 to 12 month project, and by 2016 we would be finished, and we'd be looking at kind of our long-term monitoring and moving forward with habitat work there. So this is kind of the rough plan, just so everybody can see everything all at once. What we're looking at, this would be the parking lot would be. These 3 circles we originally proposed as basically 10-foot deep ponds for fish. We've since moved away from those. The engineering from DU was saying that they were going to cost way more than was worthwhile, and that's why we moved to just doing a deeper dredge along both sides of these dikes. We'll be bringing water in from Rosemarine. Our pump is going to be on this corner in case we ever did try to expand south in St. John's Marsh. If we wanted to phase in a different plan, that would enable us to do that at some time. But currently that's where the pump is proposed to go. Some work will be done up at the top and on this pump to better allow us to manage those acres we already have. So we'll get a lot done with this 630 acres, and more importantly, that 343 acres of new wetlands could have a huge impact.
John, back up for 1 second if you would, please. Where's the Rosemarine? Show the guys where that is.
So if you were to come down just a little bit farther, it would be right in here. And this is a deep canal that goes straight to Tanker Bay. The problem we've had is this DUR ditch is our main feed for this pump currently. It's very shallow, it's very long, and it doesn't have a great water source coming through here. This would have to come out and go out to these canals here. It's a very long draw for this pump, so even if it's deep, this pump can just about draw it out before it gets there. This would be a much shorter draw for our pumps, and it's a deeper water source the entire way. It'd be a much more user-friendly system, shall we say. The 2 big benefits for us is we've proposed these 2 different boat launches, one going into the unit, one going directly into this ditch along M29. Just about anybody can tell you, it's almost impossible to get into the marsh from this launch. That's the only boat launch on St. John's Marsh at this point. You can sneak out here and get to the river, but there's no real access to the marsh itself and no access out to Anchor Bay. So that's why we've plan to put that parking lot where it is and plan to have those ramps the way they are, is to kind of maximize our opportunities and our access points by building one parking lot. So that was quick. Any questions you have, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Hopefully that gives you a better idea of what we're looking at here. It's been a project that's been in kind of early planning stages for a long, long time since our predecessors were here. We kind of took their plan and ran with it and expanded a little bit. This is what we're at now. We think it'll be a great thing for habitat, a great thing for wildlife, and a great thing for our local citizens and users. So hopefully you guys agree.
Any questions at all for him? I have a question unrelated to that project.
All right.
The salmon steaks in St. Clair is next weekend. And they threw yours truly in to say a few words about some things. And I know we've got some different projects going on in the area. I know, Bill, you have some things going on in Clay, Algonac. Where would I be able to get any updates on that kind of information with some of the things that are going on to help with some of the fisher,
Your best source there would be to contact Fisheries Division. So they have an office in Mount Clemens. Their research station, so the local biologist is out of Mount Clemens. The supervisor for this region is out of the Southfield office. And I don't have either of those numbers with me here, but I could get them for you.
I'll get it.
Yeah, if you could, just because the guys, they're all the fishermen and want to talk to them a little bit about some of the different things at grants. And I know you got a bunch of stuff going down here.
Yeah, so generally speaking, Southfield would at least be able to get you rolling, but they'll probably direct you back to Mount Clemens.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your help.
John, thank you very much for coming in and doing that. And at this time, I'll make a motion that we send a letter of support to the St. John's Marsh Coastal Wetland Restoration Phase 1 grant application. Support.
Discussion.
I'd just say, John, that was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I worked in Algonac for a couple of years, and I'm familiar with the area, and that looks like a really interesting project. What do you think, Jay?
Absolutely.
Steve?
I don't know if this has any application or not, maybe Bill or Howard could help, but would it make sense to have Parks and Rec look at this, as far as before the letter's sent, because then perhaps they could weigh in or against what you're proposing? It seemed like it's kind of tied together a little bit.
The reason I had John point out where the Rosemarine dredge was is because that is the piece of property right there that Parks and Rec is already looking at.
My thought
They
was
put
if
up-
Parks and Rec was interested in chiming in, it might give the letter more effect.
I
as
could
well.
talk to them separately and let them send a separate letter. I have all that information.
I also wouldn't want to send in something contrary to what our subordinate board wanted to do.
There are certain pieces you need in the letter, and that was sent along with the information when Bill and Chris put this letter together. Senator Pavlo, who is on the, what's the committee? Natural Resources Committee. He is on that committee. He is sending a letter. Andrea LaFontaine is the chair of the Natural Resources Committee for the House. She is sending a letter. Dan Lowers is sending a letter also. And I think
My question, Bill, was more along the lines of, do you think it would be beneficial to have Parks and Rec look at this to go get on board and join, or do you think just do it separately?
I'll chase it a little bit further with Parks for you too.
Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't hurt.
You said the more the better.
Yeah, the more letters of support we have, the better off.
Is there any reason, Bill or Howard, why Parks and Rec wouldn't support this?
I can't think of a single one. How soon do you need this letter in?
As soon as possible would be good. What has happened with that grant so far is we were through the pre-proposal, which is a real short proposal where we say what we want to do. So now we're on to the second stage. We have a new window to kind of flesh out some more plans, get more letters of support before we actually go into the last drive for those funds.
I think we'll do our letter, then if Parks and Rec can also send a support letter.
We'll chase that separately for you, John.
Okay.
All right, Steve, thanks. Good idea.
Just one great presentation. I know we're doing a lot of things down there. Iowa Township's working on theirs too, and with the Phragmites, DNR's doing a great job down there. So very good partnership we got going, and the presentation they had down at Metro Parks was very good too.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
That
you.
mail tomorrow.
Item B, approval of county disbursements.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to approve the county disbursements for March 2014 in the amount of $15,161,614.15.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call. All right. Sorry, Baldy.
Commissioner Riley,
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item C, the equalization report, Greg Hill, coming here to tell us we got lots more money to spend next year, right, Greg?
Move to adopt resolution 1407. approving
I
the
think we're all
2014.
happy to see the overall number up.
You want the motion
I'm not
first,
here to
Jeff,
tell
or
you you have lots
after?
of money to spend. Carrie can do that, but I'd say you have some more value
The
there.
motion on this first, or you want to wait till this?
Let him do his slick, yeah.
John, thank you.
Bill's asked me to give you a quick presentation of what we actually do, a refresher, kind of. Maybe you don't care, but that's okay. I'm here to represent you. And what we do is, our job is to measure the level of assessments in the local units, and per statute is by class, by local unit. And how we do that, we do our annual studies and survey, auditing, stuff like this. I have a staff of 7, 8, a couple part-timers. And we go out and visit properties of all different types. And the easiest way to explain this is like a sales study. Residential class, in all units, we do a sales study. We literally take the aggregate amount of the sales divided by the aggregate amount of the assessed values. We come up with a ratio. Our Constitution says we must assess it between 49 and 50%, and that's what my findings here tonight have ensured you that the local units are within 49 to 50% of their values. And if not, I would recommend a county equalization factor, which we have none this year. On average, the agricultural property has risen the most. It's on average about almost 22% countywide. But that's very normal with Lapeer County. I was there this morning. Macomb County doesn't have a lot, but ag land is going up all over. And there's some new requirements that we only measure ag land with ag land sales, farmer to farmer sales. And I don't know if that's gonna have the effect that the legislature was hoping for, because farmers pay a lot of money for the land. So we'll see how the sales come. The other class of property, we do what we call an appraisal study. We literally go out, interview the property, list all the improvements, and do the same type of thing and come up with a value, so, according to all state tax commission rules. As you can see, this year, we're up about 2.5%, a little bit over, I believe, on SEV, and our taxable value was up right around 2%, which is pretty good. We're in line with, this is the other counties in the area. They're all pretty much right there. The highest one was Oakland County. They had about a 7% increase, but their taxable value only increased about 1.65. The level of super price level was 1.6 last year, so that means we had a little bit of new growth, which is good. Couple of points to make you aware of this year. The legislature provided for disabled vets to have exempt property tax from the home, and those exemptions were about $9 million this year to vets in our county, and surviving spouses. We're all going to vote on the elimination of personal property along come August, and that's going to right now phase in the elimination of eligible industrial manufacturing personal property. And earlier last year, they eliminated anything valued at $80,000 or under, and my preliminary findings were about $27 million. We only lost about less than $2 million because we had some new growth, and the way they measure it's a little bit different. So that's for reimbursement. That doesn't happen for a couple more years, but right now our reimbursement isn't going to be a lot, but we didn't lose a lot, so that's a good thing. Yeah, personal property is about 11.5% of our total value, and half of that is utility properties. Right now, utility properties are exempt from the exemption. I don't know how long that'll last.
Exempt from the exemption.
Yeah, they're not exempt at all. So, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Just a question. Just for clarification, on this personal business property tax that the legislature passed, correct me if I'm wrong, but the voters in August have to approve what the legislature did in order for it to be in effect?
Correct, except for the elimination of the under $40,000 for this year. That's gone. That was in effect, it's taken effect, but it all reverts back. If nothing passes in August, it reverts back to the old way as of January 1, 15, and whatever we've lost this year, we lost.
Yeah. Just for commissioners to know this, that presumably they're setting up a special authority where this user tax money goes into to make up for any loss to counties for personal property. So we're going to be held harmless on that, if I understand the legislation correctly, if it passes in August.
That's how it's been explained to me as well. They've set aside monies, and then I think the first year it's around almost $100 million, and then as the phase-in comes in, it's up to almost $600 million in the use tax. But,
the neat thing about it is it's set in a separate authority fund that their whole purpose is just distribute that money to counties based on, you know, what we have lost.
all taxing jurisdictions, counties, local units, all taxing jurisdictions are part of the reimbursement portion, and we haven't got the forms yet because they haven't even made them, but it makes my job miserable.
I can tell you, as someone on the Taxation Economic Development for MAC, we would like to encourage voters to vote yes on that. I know it's going to be very complicated. They'll probably get very confused, but a yes vote would really help out St. Clair County.
Well, it's hold harmless to all the taxing jurisdictions in the planning anyway, so.
Anything else? Okay,
Thanks, Greg.
just a motion to.
This time I would move to adopt Resolution 14-07, approving the 2014 St. Clair County Equalization Report.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item D, Resolution 1410.
Chairman, at this time, I would move to adopt Resolution 1410, authorizing St. Clair County Sewage Disposal System #1 bonds for the Department of Public Works.
Support.
I've got Mr. Ken Forrester here, if anyone has any questions on the next couple things here. On the bond. Roll call.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item E, the Department of Public Works wastewater treatment plant bar screen project.
This time, I'd like to adopt Resolution 14-17 to award the contract for the Department of Public Works wastewater treatment plant bar screen project to Midwest Power Systems Incorporated in the amount of $470,000.
Support.
Discussion. Any of it? Roll call.
Commissioner Graytop.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes. Item number F.
Mr. Chair, I would move the awarding of the Fort Gratiot Park Play Edition and the Beach Plaza project to McKenzie Concrete in the amount of $58,879.20.
Support.
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes. Item number G, the aggregate recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to adopt Resolution 14-12 to award a contract for select aggregate supply for the Smith Creek landfill to Mid-Michigan's Materials Incorporated in the amount of $375,375.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Greathop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Chairman Bowman?
Yes.
Can I back up for just 1 second?
Sure.
Did you say 375,000
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
75 and some change.
in Michigan?
Correct.
And I was just looking at the 327 for
Did
Piper's.
check out, item H.
This time move to adopt Resolution 1416 to award the contract for Cell 4 septic treatment unit construction at Smith Creek landfill to Ryan Incorporated Central in the amount of $2,323,165.
Support.
Discussion. Just a little side note, I got a call from the local business agent from 324. Did you know this is the governor of Wisconsin's, it's a company, he's involved in it, that it's his company or whatever. They do stuff all over, so Howard's gonna vote no now, but. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. So, roll call.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greathop?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Chairman Bowman?
Yes. Item number I, the landfill pump station force main construction.
Mr. Chair, I would move the adoption resolution 1414 to award the contract for the septage pumping station and force main construction at the Smith Creek landfill to Tulaski Excavating Incorporated in the amount of $178,789.
Support?
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Greathop?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Chairman Bowman?
Yes. Item J, the landfill pipe fabrication construction recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt Resolution 14-13 to award contract for pipe fabrication at the Smith Creek landfill to Great Lakes Fusion LLC in the amount of $150,162.
Support?
Discussion.
Just an interesting note that bids ran from $150,000 to $421,000 for the same project.
You can get away with it.
That's why you go for more than one bid.
Competitive bidding always works.
Roll call.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Greathop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Chairman Bowman?
Yes. Item K.
This time I'd like to move to adopt Resolution 14-15 to award a contract for the septage bioreactor component installation at the Smith Creek landfill to Tulaski Excavating in the amount of $655,500.
Support?
Discussion.
Well, in pointing out what Mr. Commissioner Greathop did, the bids go all the way from 655 to 922. So it's important to get that bidding out there. And by the way, in November, the governor of Wisconsin is going to need to get back into the trash business because he's going to be out of a job.
Ooh.
How do you know that?
I have faith in the voters of
Roll call.
Wisconsin.
Point of order, point of order.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Greathop?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Chairman Bowman?
Yes. Item number L.
I've got it. Hang on a minute. Item L, Mr. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move to approve the 2014 survey and remonumentation grant in the amount of $96,976.
Second?
It's federal money. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item M, the Manning table changes.
Mr. Chair, I would move the revised Manning table for the Metropolitan Planning Commission with the addition of a full-time Planner 2 position and the elimination of a Planner 1 position.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item N,
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve the interagency agreement with Community Mental Health for the Day Treatment Night Watch Program in the amount of $59,507 for a term of 10/1/13 through 9/30/14.
Support.
Second.
discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes. Item O,
This time I would move to ratify the 2014 Strategic Traffic Enforcement Program grant in the amount of $48,000.
Support.
discussion. All in favor?
Need a roll call on that?
Nah, there's no, that's just,
No?
there's no county dough. Item P,
This time, I'd like to move to adopt Resolution 14-18, ratifying the collective bargaining agreement with the Friend of Court Supervisors Association.
Support.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item Q,
Chairman, I move to adopt Resolution 14-18, ratifying a collective bargaining agreement with professional employees of St. Clair County Prosecuting Attorney.
Second?
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item R,
This time I would move to award the project for the cleaning of the library HVAC unit, reheating coils, and related ductwork to Sanovac Services in an amount not to exceed $12,650.00.
Support.
discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes. Item S,
Mr. Chairman, before I make the motion there, I'd like to say that I've spoken to that Julie Jowett. I think she's going to be a real asset to that committee, as you came with great references, and a lot of people have spoke very high of her. I spoke to her again yesterday, and she was tied up tonight at another meeting. Otherwise, she'd been here tonight, but I did tell her I'd call her back tonight or first thing in the morning. At this time, I had moved to appoint Julie Jollitt Lee to the Community Mental Health Board representing District 4 for a 3-year term expiring 3/31/17.
Support.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item T,
Chairman, I would move to approve the 2011 Memorandum of Agreement with the Detroit Wayne County Port Authority in the amount of $130,135 for the border radar system.
support. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item U,
Mr. Chair, I would move to award the contract for the structural steel for the Convention Center project to Campbell Shaw Steel in the amount of $652,000.
Support.
discussion.
I would just like to comment that this is a local company, and I think we're up over 50% local contracts and employees, so
Yeah,
we're
Kevin, I know Kevin Shaw personally. Actually, I went to school with him. He's a couple of years younger than I am, but they've been around forever. Good stuff, so.
I believe the last ones before we got this far, we had something like 53%, so we ought to be up in real good shape. I'm real pleased. I think locals we've done a great job. The office especially did a great job as far as sending things out to locals, keep them advised, send them out, and I'm real pleased. I think we're very fortunate to have our local people on board and helping them, being they live here. I think it's great.
I attended the Richmond Chamber of Commerce breakfast last Friday at 7 a.m. in Cook Jeff's place, but I also stressed that with Macomb County sitting there and how we do our contracts here and how we award it. As part of my stage.
Sorry.
Yes.
How does this bid compare with our cost estimate?
It still keeps us well within our budget, which I'll talk a little bit about during the administrator's report, but it is consistent with our estimates. And just so you know, the next bid was probably about $15,000 higher than the local bid from Campbell Shaw.
Thank you.
Roll call on that, please.
Commissioner Samasco.
No.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Chairman Moe.
Yes. Item 12, the administrator's report.
Just a couple quick points on the 2015 budget. We have closed the books on the 2013 expenditures. All of the bills are in, everything has been paid, and earlier this week, Carrie officially closed the books on 2013. So with those books closed and with the equalization report in and property valuations known, the next step for Carrie will be to update the model, the budget model, looking at 2015 and beyond. Once the state acts on their budget, which it's expected that they'll be adopting their budget sometime during the month of May, then we'll be able to firm up all of our revenue projections for 2015 and beyond, and then finalize the budget model for 2015. Then we'll report to the board where we stand and share that information with the department heads as well.
We may need to wait till August primary to find out what's happening with the personal business property tax. So we'll know for sure then.
And well, and Carrie has been taking that in consideration in some of her budget models already. So she's got two numbers that she's working with.
Okay.
So, but what we'll reveal early will be the worst case scenario.
Oh, okay.
We have been asked by several of our state legislators to put together a position paper on reforms that are currently being offered to state revenue sharing payments. They may not affect what's going on in the near term, but it certainly will have an impact on long-term reforms that the state of Michigan is currently contemplating. And we'll certainly make sure that we share that document with the Board of Commissioners once it is complete. The focus that Carrie and I have been talking about is simplifying the system and making it much easier for those communities that are financially responsible to receive their revenue sharing. The system now seems to be built around a few problem childs in the state of Michigan that unfortunately all of us, as a result, have to jump through many, many hoops in order to ensure that we receive our revenue sharing. It takes a lot of time on our part, and we really feel that it's unnecessary, and there have been simpler systems in place in the past, and that's what we'll be asking the state to consider, looking back at what they did in the past, just to make the system easier for everyone.
Is that a simpler system might be when we file our financial reports, if the county is in really good shape, we get a green light. If the county is in questionable position, we get a yellow light. And if we're like some other counties that are having real financial problems, they get a red light. If you get a green light, you don't have to process any of this paperwork, you get your money.
You get a red light, you get a bailout?
you get your red light, then you get a bailout.
And a ticket on top of it.
Well, I think that's a great proposal. Philosophically, that's where the changes in the FOIA Act have gone now. First, the legislature was proposing something was going to have impacts on all the units of local government, and the rationale for it was there were a few bad apples. And now they're switching, as I understand, their philosophy in dealing with that, the same way that you're suggesting with revenue sharing. And if they've got problems, focus on those governments that are creating the problems, those people that are adequately managing and fairly managing their systems. Let them do that
Get off
without
of their back.
interference. And that in itself, improves the efficiency of government.
Exactly. The 2013 audit has begun. The auditors showed up this week. Carrie and her staff have done a lot of work over the last probably 6 weeks to prepare for them. Things are going fairly smoothly at this point. They'll be visiting departments over the next probably 30 to 45 days. They usually go away and then they come back with a couple of follow-up questions and visits. Every year we identify a couple of departments that we want to take a closer look at. Not because we suspect anything is going on, we just think it's a good idea that you take a closer look at certain departments every few years, just to ensure that we can give them a clean bill of health. And we've done much the same thing this year as well. As the board may recall, each year one of the things that we do is try and chip away at the audit findings and recommendations. So we actually reduce the number of findings that the auditors seem to come up with each year. I believe when many of you began sitting on the board, we probably had as many as 9 pages of findings from the auditors. And last year we were down to about 2.25 pages. So this year we're hoping we can get down to 2 pages or less, and that would be great. So
Will Carrie
we'll-
get a
we'll
pay
let you
raise
know.
then?
Okay.
Same as the commissioners get, right?
Exactly. Convention Center. With tonight's award of the structural steel, all of this significant construction contracts have been awarded. There remain some relatively minor specialty items that are not time sensitive. And over the next couple of months, we'll be bidding those as we get ready to require that they be on site so they can be installed. Even with those specialty items, considering where we believe that those will come in at, we still feel that the project remains well within the budget that has been set by the Board of Commissioners. We review that probably 3 times a week, internally as well as with our construction manager, where we're at. We look at value engineering, we look at other changes we might be able to make just to ensure that we remain on budget. Pre-construction meetings were held with the contractors early this week. Over the next few weeks, we'll be finalizing all of their submittals and their shop drawings. They'll be reviewed by the construction managers as well as the architects. Once that work is complete, construction will begin. A progress meeting was held with SMG this week. Their transition team is in place and has been working with us on pre-opening services and advice. SMG updated us on their efforts to recruit qualified candidates for the general manager position. Currently, they have about 50 applications, and they are going through those. Their intent is to bring several individuals to the county to meet with the county as well as the McMorran Authority to sit down and figure out who might be the best fit for our area. They're focusing on individuals that may be familiar with the Midwest market as well as have some experience. They're looking within their organization as well as advertising in professional magazines and journals as well. The work continues on the development of a marketing plan for the airport. You may remember that I spoke to you a couple of months ago that staff would be developing a comprehensive marketing plan as well as a number of documents that we will be using. Our plan is to have that material out on the street by Memorial Day. Progress continues on that. They've been meeting with the IT department about websites. They've been looking at what other airport websites may offer, what kind of information is vital for both transient flyers as well as those who are based here in St. Clair County. A lot of the work, a lot of information is coming out of the FBO, so they've been helping considerably on this effort as well. So we'll certainly share information with you once it is ready. Our summer meetings, if you recall, we do visits around the county for the full board meetings. They are scheduled again for June, July, August, and September. The announcements went out to local communities late last week. We're already receiving responses from some of those communities. Once they are all in, we'll give you an idea of who is offered to sponsor us and where we might be going for those 4 months. Paperless agendas. We had a pretty thick agenda again this meeting. The tablets that we've been talking to you about are in. Watch your emails. You should have an email from Ms. Morris letting you know that the equipment is in, those of you that need it. I know those of you that already have tablets have decided to use your own. She will be working with you to schedule the training as well as the setup of your tablet and to ensure that the system is working properly. So keep your eyes on your email and please respond as quickly as you can.
Will there be a test?
Will there be a test? Yes.
Okay.
You'll show up one week and you'll have no paper on your table in front of you and you'll have to use your tablet. That'll be the test. So that's it for my administrator's report this month. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
Any questions for Bill at all? I have a motion to receive and file the administrator's report.
I would so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Miscellaneous business. There's one item that I forgot to talk about earlier. City of Marysville and their trash. Back, probably a year and a half ago, we started meeting with all the cities, townships, villages, educating them on our landfill and some possibilities with some of the trash contracts, some different ways to bid things out. Cotterville Township was the first one that their trash contracts came up, and they were the first township that got with the county to go through the bidding process. Jim Longston, our landfill consultant, Matt Williams, they pretty much handled everything from A to Z. Cotterville Township, I received their numbers, achieved roughly a $20,000 savings. And when you say $20,000, doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking $170,000 total trash, it was pretty substantial. City of Marysville, Tom Riley and myself met with Randy Fernandez and Dan Damon back in probably December to talk about a few different issues, and we spent a lot of time talking about trash and the waste and, you know, what the county is actually offering up and what are we doing with that. The City of Marysville went through the bid process per the county, what we had helped them and had worked with them. And very extensive. We went down to the meeting the other night. We actually had met with a few city council before that to review the numbers that actually came in. City of Marysville was extremely happy with what happened for them. They had budgeted numbers. For example, the increase that was, if they were to renew their contract, their total trash was $690,000 if that would have been a renewal. Through talking about it, they had budgeted numbers for $645,000 for this year. After going through the bidding and inviting the people in and doing all the things that we had told them to do, the year one trash contract for the City of Marysville is $574,213. Year 2 is roughly 600,000. So I give them a lot of credit for essentially listening, because to be quite frank, we offer this up to all the villages, cities, and so on and so forth, and we met with some of them, and some of them just flat have not taken us up on the offer for whatever reasons, I don't know. But if you look at the substantial savings that Marysville had in this, I'm telling you, Tom, they couldn't have been any happier. Oh, Bill, you were at the meeting the other night too. Yeah, so I encourage, these other townships and cities and things, when their trash contracts do come up, get a hold of the county, and trust me, they've all been in front of us. They know what we're talking about, and they know what we're offering up. And the city of Marysville is a great example of partnering and working with them to help them through that, because we essentially have the experts on our staff and our consultants to facilitate that process. So it was very, very good for them.
I thought one of the interesting things was at the first meeting, when Dan Damon became the new mayor, he called and asked to have a meeting. And we sat down with him and discussed it with him. There's not any question. Jeff is our expert as far as I'm concerned on this trash situation and how to bid, etc. And we sat down to discuss with him, and then we had numerous talks over the last period of months. But as Bill said and Jeff said, they were extremely pleased with how the results came out.
They took enough time, each one of the individual council members took enough time to thank Jeff and Tom and everybody else involved in the process. I mean, each one of them took a few minutes at the end to say thank you. And it spoke very well for the county to have these people speak the way they did. I thought that it was proud to sit there and listen to them.
With the same hauler and no change in service either. So when we're talking these numbers, it's not like they cut something out or any of that stuff. It was
Apples and apples.
apples and apples.
Saved them $100,000?
Well, 690 would have been their renewal. That was the renewal rate that was quoted to them, and then after going through the bidding and everything else, it was 574.
Yeah, something like that.
They had 645 budgeted for next year, assuming they were going to receive some savings by going through the bid process. And if you look at the percentages, even like in Cotterville, it's that percentage, $20,000 on 170,000. I mean, is substantial.
It should really set a pace for the other cities and townships to look at.
It should, but there are a couple of them that haven't had our assistance. Okay, so I won't mention any names, but I think they know who they are.
Well, I have a couple things, and on the 6 townships that I represent in half of Memphis, 3 of the townships do have contracts. I'm working with Al Titus, the supervisor right currently. Bruce has asked me to help him with his. He's pulling the contract. He's going to set up a date and Jeff has been invited. We're going to meet with Columbus Township and see about getting them on board. But he just wants to go through the contract and see how it's going to benefit him. So we're going to be meeting with Columbus Township, try to get them on board also. I do have one other thing, if I could, miscellaneous. We try to work with the governor's initiative, but showing how we work with our surrounding communities. With Pierre County, talked with Bill Pavlo to help me out with the situation. It's his area, and I met with Burnside Township out there, drafted an area there, and because railroad, I know drainage pretty good, so I drafted up about a quarter mile how to get the drainage of this one crossing is all. So he is setting up the meeting as soon as the ground breaks with the Drain Commissioner, Road Commission, myself, and the township supervisors out there to work on a drain issue in Pierre County.
Okay. Anything else in miscellaneous business? Carl?
I saw a notice in the email about a district meeting of MAC in Lapeer. Monday. Is anybody planning to go to that?
I'm going. I'm picking up David. So if you want to ride along, holler. It's at 9:30, so we should probably leave here probably about 7:45, and then pick up Dave at 8 o'clock. Down at my house.
Okay, anything else in miscellaneous business? Adjournment.
Well, at this time, I'd like to move to receive and file packets that were sent to commissioners' packets and their places at any other information presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.